It's Ashleydawn. It's another Gettin Real with Ashleydawn, and I'm gonna get real with you. So, if you would say, Ashleydawn, that looks like a steering wheel, it's because it is. That's the only place that I can put the phone that it won't fall down. So, you get to see my steering wheel when I turn. I'm not looking at the camera, so I'm being 1,000,000% safe, but I want to talk to you today about when you don't feel like you. When you feel like you're lost, you feel like you've forgotten who you are, or maybe life has sucked the you out of you, right? You just feel worn down, beat up, you don't know what to do. I want to encourage you. If you would start doing one thing a day that you love, for instance, if you love going to the park, that you would take your lunch break and you would go for a walk in the park. Yes, if you live in South Florida, it's 100 degrees outside. But if you love walking in the park, it's not going to matter how hot it is outside. You're just going to be so happy to be doing something you love. It's going to re-energize you. Ashleydawn, why are you saying all this? Well, you should know by now, if you've watched my videos, looked at my page for any amount of time, that I only speak about things I am currently going through. If you're hearing something on my page, it is either I'm currently going through it, I've previously walked through it, or somebody I love or somebody that I'm close to is going through it or has gone through it. So it's either me or somebody I love or somebody close to me. But it's a pretty right now situation. So if I'm being honest, I haven't felt like me. Have you ever, maybe it's your weight and you're like, man, I don't fit my clothes right. Or maybe it's your attitude and you're just like, man, I'm kind of in a funk. Like maybe you're going through depression. Maybe you're just really, really struggling with life. Well, you're not alone. I've been there. I'm there right now. I haven't felt like me. Maybe you went through a breakup. 3 years ago, I was in a relationship and it broke my heart. And if I'm being honest, at moments, it still breaks my heart. So I'm right there with you. When you go through any kind of trauma, whether it's a relationship, a marriage, divorce, a hurricane, corona, whatever, if you go through something that is traumatic, a lot of time, the biggest thing it affects is your mental, right? Your mental health, your mind, your thoughts, your feelings, your emotions. And you can start to feel like you're not you. And you could start, oh my gosh, my drink just fell. You can start to question what's going on, right? When you don't feel like you. Where's I know I have paper towels for this very thing. Because so often I spill stuff. It didn't spill very much, but enough to need a paper towel. So you could say, Ashleydawn, I haven't felt like me in a while. The people that are around me can tell I'm not me. So one of my friends yesterday, I was at one of my little networking things for work, and I go to them a lot. And one of my sweet friends, Robin, tells me, Ashleydawn, are you okay? And she's really good at picking up when I'm not okay, because she'll be like, okay, what's going on? Did you go to the doctors again? Is it your skin? What is going on? And I was struggling. I have another doctor's appointment coming up. And so she realized that I wasn't feeling like myself, that something was off. Thank God for good friends. Thank God for people that realize when you're off and when you're not you and when you're struggling and when things are happening that are out of your control, right? Thank God for friends like that. So anyway, she just told me, she's like, you don't seem like you. Something seems wrong. Are you okay? And I told her, I said, no, I'm not okay. I'm stressed out. I'm really struggling. I don't feel like me. I feel like the life is getting beat out of me and I am so overwhelmed, and I just feel like things are just not going the way that I would like them to go, and I feel like I'm losing myself. And she said, what can I do to help? And I said, honestly, just pray. And so I asked a bunch of my friends to pray for me, and some of them knew why and some of them didn't. But I asked them to pray for me. I just want to get me back. And that's what I told her. I just want to get me back. And I was talking to my mom and a couple of my mentors and spiritual friends, and they were just saying, what do you love to do? And I said, well, I love flowers. I love nature. I love being outdoors. And they said, when's the last time that you really spent time in nature, that you really spent time outdoors? And I said, well, honestly, I haven't. And they said, well, why is that? And I said, well, because I work all the time. And it just hit me. Yes, I do work all the time. Oh, I'm going to park closer. Yes, I do work all the time. But on my lunch breaks, on, my free time, whenever I do get it, I can spend some time in nature. I can go to the park. I can sit by a lake and eat my lunch. I don't have to eat inside a building. I can, I do a lot of meetings with people. I can meet people outside. I can sit at a table outside. And I can do things that bring me joy. So my encouragement to you, all my posts and videos and all the things I try to do are really meant to encourage and inspire and, uplift. My encouragement today is that you would do something that makes you feel like you. If you love sunflowers, you would go and get yourself sunflowers. If you like to relax, you would go and get yourself some eucalyptus. Whatever you love to do, go do that. Go do that. If you love to go kayaking, go kayaking. If you love to travel, schedule a trip. It could be a trip an hour away from you. It doesn't matter. Do something that you love every day until you get yourself back. And I will say, the more time you spend in your Bible, listening to worship music, listening to things that will edify your spirit, the healthier you're going to feel. Because I can tell you from experience, when I'm not in my Bible, when I'm listening to some not worship music, which, listen, I'm not saying like, oh, look at me, I'm so holy. No, I'm not. I listen to all kinds of music. I listen to every single genre of music you can think of, except I don't like the screamy kind. I don't like screamo. It's like, I don't like that. If you do, that's cool. Love that for you. But for me, it's not my jam. I want happy music. Sometimes I like pop. Sometimes I like doo-wop. Sometimes I like oldies. Sometimes I like classical. Sometimes I like jazz. Sometimes I like blues, country, bluegrass. Sometimes I like rap. Sometimes I like Christian. Sometimes I like worship. Sometimes I like indie music. Sometimes I like rock and roll. I'm all over the place. But I've realized that the more I listen to worship music, the happier I am. The more I listen to worship music, the more beautiful I feel. The more I listen to worship music, the more purpose I feel like my life has. So I just want to encourage you. Maybe start listening to worship. Maybe start listening to Christian. If you, Lauren Daigle, I stinking love Lauren Daigle. When I listen to her music, I immediately feel better about myself. So listen to some Lauren Daigle. If you like flowers, go to a florist shop and just smell flowers. If you can't afford them, go to Publix and buy like 3 for $12. You can get a bouquet of sunflowers for $3. Do something that's going to bring you joy so that you start to feel like yourself again. The problem is we overwork ourselves and we burn ourselves out doing things that don't bring us joy. We're working all the time. We're helping all the time. We're volunteering all the time. And you can have the best intentions in the world. You can be, volunteering for your church, which is awesome, but you can get burnt out doing that. If all that you're doing is things for other people and you're not doing anything that brings you joy, you're going to get burnt out very, very easily. I know, I've been there. So start doing at least one thing that makes you feel like you. Start doing at least one thing that makes you feel happy. Call up that girlfriend and plan one night a week where y'all go out and you get some yummy food and you share and you spend time together. Start doing things that are going to bring you joy. Sign up for that Bible study. Sign up for that ladies group. Sign up for that brunch. Sign up for something that is not taking something from you. For instance, if you were a bank account and people were always coming to take money from you, pretty soon you would be overdrafted. pretty soon you would be in a negative. How often do we do that in life, that we just let people take from us, take from us, take from us, take from us? And then we wonder why we feel sluggish, why we feel exhausted, why we feel overwhelmed, why we feel like we're drowning, why we feel like we're struggling. Well, because we haven't had any deposits lately, because it's constantly people taking from this. Can you do this? Can you do this? Can you do this? Can you do this? And we don't have people pouring back into us. It's like a cup, right? I got this cup right here. If I pour it out, it's going to come to a point where there's nothing left inside. We do that with our lives. We pour ourselves out and we forget, I got to refill the cup. Well, how do you refill the cup? You do things that bring you closer to Jesus. You spend time with him. You get to know the love of the Father, and that love fills you back up so that you can pour out. Have you ever tried to pour out of an empty cup? Nothing comes out. Have you ever tried to live out of an empty being? Nothing comes out. That's why you're exhausted. Or I'll even say worse than trying to pour out of an empty cup is pointing your empty cup towards people, right? You point it to people and you're like, can you fill me up? No, they can't fill you up. Half of them are empty too. Half of them are coming to you because they think that you can fill them up. And sometimes we can, fill each other up a little bit, but we don't have a whole lot to go around. God does. God's supply is endless. He doesn't run out. We do. We're human. We run out pretty quickly. Some of us run out before the day even starts, right? You don't have your coffee and you're already out. Some of us at night are like, I'm done. I'm tapped out. My mom can tell you a million times, I come home and I'm exhausted and I say, I love you. I'll make dinner and I'll go to bed. And that's it, because I don't have anything else to give. So if you feel like you're at that point where you just don't have anything else to give, and you're pointing your cup at other people, wanting them to fill it, or maybe people are pointing their cup to you and thinking that you're going to fill them, let them know that you don't have an endless supply, but God does. Point them to God. He can carry things that you can't carry. That's a topic for another time, is we carry stuff that we weren't created to carry. We were not created to carry the weight of everyone else's life. We were created to carry what God has given us to carry, and only that. And he expects us to ask him to carry the hard stuff for us because he knows that we're not strong enough to carry it on our own. So if you feel like you haven't been you, if you feel stressed, like you're struggling, like you're suffocating, like you're drowning, call on God and call on a friend. Start doing things that bring you joy. My friend Carolina paints seashells, and that brings her joy. My friend Jenny paints rocks, and that brings her joy. A lot of my friends paint and create. We were created by the Creator to create. So when we're creating things, whether it be a hairstyle, right? I'm a hairstylist, and so when I do hair for people, when I do makeup for people, it excites me. It fills me with joy because I was created for that. Oh, there's a blue jay. I love blue jays. Oh, that was beautiful. Thank you, God, for letting me see that today. When we create, we resemble the Father who has created us to create, right? I just want to encourage you. If you don't feel like you, start doing things that bring you joy. Yes, work is always going to be there. Yes, responsibilities are always going to be there. Those kids are always going to be there. That husband is always going to be there. Yes, be a good wife, be a good mom, be a good, employee, all that stuff. But don't forget yourself, right? In the airplane, they say, put your mask on before you help anybody else with theirs. Why? Because if you're not breathing, you're not going to help anybody else to breathe. So put your oxygen mask on. Do something every single day that brings you joy, whether it's journaling in a gratitude journal, whether it's eating a yummy food, whether it's going on a walk in nature, whether it's painting a picture, whether it's listening to your favorite music, maybe dancing. My friend Jessica loves to dance. She's classically trained and she went to school for dancing, so she loves to dance. Whatever it is that brings you joy, do at least one thing a day just for you that brings you joy. That's godly. Don't be going out here doing crazy stuff and saying, Ashleydawn told me. No. Do things that are godly. Ask yourself, is this holy? Is this going to bring God joy? Is this going to help me to be closer to God or farther away from him? Don't be doing stuff that brings you farther away from God and saying that I told you to. Do not do that. Oh, the blue jay's back. Thank you, God. That's another thing. If you are struggling with discontentment, maybe you're looking at your life and it's not the way that you want it to be yet, look for one thing a day to thank God for. So like today is birds. So every beautiful bird I see, I'll thank God for. And when you just start thanking God for the things that you're seeing, you will cultivate the spirit of gratitude. You will be like, oh my gosh, I am so happy. How did I get so stinking happy? And you'll be like, oh, because I'm spending the entire day thanking God and being grateful for the things around me. So if you're maybe struggling with some discontentment, you're struggling with some frustration, start thanking God for the things around you, for the birds, for the trees, for the grass, for the sunshine. Me and the sunshine kind of have a love-hate relationship right now. If you know, you know. So wear sunscreen. But start thanking God for the things around you, and you will cultivate a gratitude that you've never experienced before. And then start doing one thing a day that brings you closer to God. Read your Bible. Read about who God says you are. The world is telling you all day long who they think you are, right? It'll try to label you and try to tell you all kinds of things. Look to God. What is God telling you about yourself? Who are you in God's eyes? You can hear all day long who you are in people's eyes, and people are flawed, and they'll look at your problems and they'll point their fingers at you and tell you all the things you're doing wrong, and they won't point one finger back at themselves and look at what they're doing wrong. Ignore them. Who does God say you are? What do you look like to God? Focus on that. And if you've never listened to Lauren Daigle, crank her up. Turn on You Say. That's a good song. Colby Calais, Try. Turn that song on. I love that song. That's a banger. It's a good song. Crank it up. I love you. More importantly, God loves you. You are seen, you are celebrated, and you are loved. And if you're not feeling like you, I'm encouraging you to do one thing a day that makes you feel more like you. I love you. My messages are always open. My phone's always on. So call me if you need a friend. Don't go through life alone. God's with you, and I'm here for you too. Love y'all. Catch you in the next one.